Hello everyone and welcome to the 2021 Shelly Sharpe Memorial presented by Spinners on the Green. This PDGA A tier moves into its second day as it is a beautiful Saturday, January 16, 2021, and I've got Gary to the O with me and we're checking out hole number 1 at the Vista del Camino XL layout. We're missing a Mando here during the official Pete Ulibarri preview, Gary to the O, but let's hope nobody misses the Mando during the round.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be pretty easy to not miss the Mando. It's like 50 feet off the off the tee, but we've seen plenty of people do it. I don't think any of these guys are. I mean, they're lead card guys don't miss the Mando.
Well, let's hope not. Drew Gibson opened the tournament with a 9 under. We see both Garrett and Levi shooting 8 and 7 respectively, and then Anthony Barela birdied the last few holes to get to 7 under and put himself on this lead card.
He made the Mando, but I don't know. You'd also don't want to do that.
Looks like he pulled it a little bit to the right. Kicks out into the open on the left side.
That's lucky. We're busting out the L word. He just got lucky there.
He did get through the Mando, so he won't be penalized. Maybe a little bit of nerves or jitters here during the first hole. Not quite the gallery we're used to seeing out here, of course, due to COVID, but Barela, for the second day in a row, throws it too low.
You know, you really kind of expect more out of these guys. I mean, they're not putting it down the fairway. I mean, they're making the Mando, but I feel like there's more to this hole.
All right, good night, everyone. That's the end of the coverage. No, just a little bit of a rocky start here. I guarantee I think we're going to see things pick up, and that's a great approach. You know, of course, you want to open with the birdie. However, you don't want to do anything too silly here that's going to give you an unnecessary bogey at the same time. You don't need to be a hero.
No, these guys got a lot of golf left to play. You know, they're all within a stroke or two of each other. You know, they'll be all right.
AB is aggressive, doesn't want to relinquish the birdie, but he's going to have to because he's just past it, and Drew really with a layup. That's the thing with this hole. If you're out of position, it's really tough to go after the birdie.
Yeah, and you don't want to do anything too drastic because you wind up where AB is on the other side of that tree. I think he's in a good position, but, you know, you could wind up in a not-so-great position and have to putt around it.
It's a little bit of work here on the first hole, but he'll walk away with the par.
Yeah, I think all these guys are looking to get the par. We'll start off with a nice star par. No bogeys. Nobody's scoring.
We did see a few struggles yesterday, so I know it sounds funny, but the par here on everyone with this card is actually quite an improvement from what we saw our 2 cards yesterday do. So
yeah, I'll take it. It's, you know, a little bit of a better start than yesterday. Maybe not the start these players wanted, but, you know, we're on to hole 2. This is another, I think this is going to be another easy birdie hole for these guys, like 369 feet. I don't know, these guys all got the power, you know, and some. You know, they could probably throw to hole 3, but they're just going to throw those hyzer shots. Maybe we saw a lot of sidearms yesterday. I think these guys got this hole.
Well, this one averaged 2.71 and was one of the easier holes, maybe not too surprising.
You know, looking at all these, I don't know, for 5 holes, you think they all rank right up there in the easier holes of the course, and every one of these players is expecting to birdie. You know, you definitely don't want to be bogeying any of these holes. You're giving probably strokes of the field that way.
Garrett turns it over. Yeah, I mean, anything low that's either flat or with a little bit of hyzer is going to play out to that left side and you know, maybe skip up toward the pin, but you can't turn it over as we saw from Garrett. AB going with a forehand.
Yeah, I think AB out of all these players probably knows how this plays the ground play here is the most. You know, I feel like I see him and Adam Hammis playing here all the time on Instagram. in their stories and whatnot, so they should know what's going on.
I don't even know if they actually play. I think they just come out and throw shots for Instagram.
I mean, some people do that.
A park job there by Levi. And that's what I was just talking about, being out of position. There aren't many trees on this course. However, they really can come into play.
Yeah, and if you're on that side of the trees, like, you can't. There's not much hope for a birdie there.
Drew trying to find his rhythm. Got a little like Matty O rocking back and forth to him there as I try to spit that out. And,
Ooh.
Short. I think Matty O would insert a roll tide here. I don't know what that means, but if you mention Matty O, you have to say roll tide.
Hey, I mean, they are the 2021 or 2020 national champions. I don't really understand that, but it's they're national champions.
So a birdie there by Barela. Also the easy tap in by Levi. So we see 2 birdies, 2 pars on hole number 2. As Drew taps in, things will remain very close as expected here on this lead card. Big shout out to Huss Brewing. I know one of the sponsors here this year is. Let's take a look at hole 3. Now, just before we got started, we had found out that Adam Hammis had actually aced hole 3, which is pretty incredible.
You know, all these players are expecting birdies, so to throw an ace in, you know, that was either that had to have been a really lucky shot, because if if that didn't go in the basket, I feel like that thing would have skipped a mile. But good for him. You know, hopefully it helped him here on moving day.
Well, AB has had his share of looks at a few of these first few holes in the last couple days, and wow, I mean, I guess that would be one way to do it, as he was no more than 5 feet from the pin when that came in.
Yeah, I think he was thinking, I'm not going to let my touring buddy show me up on my home course.
And I love this play. I mean, obviously, if you've got the forehand you saw by AB, it's a little bit more open on that left side. You've got all the air in the world that you have to work with. But I like something on the right side that just kind of plays the low skip shot. The only problem is it does bring that OB wall thing into play, drainage area. That does come into play sometimes.
These guys they're putting it up there. They also all want the aces, but I think they're all gonna be happy with birdies.
I think Terry Roethlisberger not hitting the back of a Yukon would be considered a highlight, a non-highlight highlight here this year. But there's always still final round, so I'll keep my fingers crossed.
There's plenty of time to hit. Wasn't there a water bottle hit that saved James Conrad a couple years ago? I mean, there's pedestrians all over the course. You know,
we're trying to stay clear of those, hopefully. Here's Garrett from just outside the circle.
I bet he wants that one back. That was a little bit short. He knows he can hit those.
He started out so hot in the opening round yesterday.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see what happened, because I think I looked at live scoring and he was like 8 down through 9 or 10, and he just seemed to stay at 8 down. There you go, Gibson with a birdie. He loves that. Although I don't know, you can never tell whether he loves it or hates it.
Well, you act like you've been there before. I think that's the mantra he's going with there.
I don't think he's been there. I think he acts like he's never left.
Where's that, Birdie Town?
Sure is. I mean, when you're in the lead, it's a tough place to take over.
And Barela, no surprise, he cleans that up for the easy birdie. I was thinking that holes 2 and 3 probably play similar, but actually hole 3 plays a little bit easier at 2.61 as opposed to 2.71. So hole 3 comes in as what looks like to be the second easiest hole on the course. Am I looking at that right? Yeah, second easiest hole relative to par.
Wow.
Let's take a look at hole 4. A little bit more obstruction.
Yeah, your play is, if you got it, big hyzer around that pine tree and just let it float down to the basket, and not you don't want to go too far to the left there. It's all I believe the OB line is right on the circle's edge there, but these guys won't have a problem.
You can also go deep here at 381. I've seen a number of them go deep throughout the years. AB found the tree yesterday and was really frustrated. He says he always hits that tree. Today he clears it.
But hey, he finds that OB. Just needs to get a little wider there.
He's about pin high to the basket, like you said, at circle's edge.
Yeah, he's got one more chance. Maybe we'll see him tomorrow, and he'll actually he'll throw more of this shot wider on the tree. Let it swing down, skip towards the basket, and boom.
Yeah,
that should be an easy birdie.
Cannot argue with that. Great shot by Levi. Drew keeping it on a lower line. Comes in hot. Oh, it circles in. It's like, oh, hi, OB. Yeah, I'll be right back. I'm going to go hang out over here.
That's why you don't want to necessarily go low, because he got lucky.
I like the line here.
Just not far enough.
Doesn't quite clear it, so we'll see an approach from there. We saw, like I said, AB stuck in that yesterday. Almost the exact same spot. It's like he could have left his mini there for Garrett today.
Like you said, there's not many trees on the course, so to get stuck in one and leave yourself with a tough shot like this, it's got to hurt a little bit.
Yeah, and I know we mentioned yesterday, 2-meter rule is in effect. So if you come into a tree 6 feet 6 inches or above, you actually get the penalty stroke. So they're really trying to make those trees as much of an obstacle as they can. And AB, solid putt there just to save the par.
Yeah, in general, I feel like he's a pretty solid putter, especially from that distance. And he's got just having the distance off the tee. Like I feel in the next coming years, he could be a really solid player.
He's got a little bit of potential. Well, we'll see. We also know that he's taken to the college life, and I'll be interested to see how much we're seeing AB out playing versus taking his studies and his college life, on in the most sensible ways. So, looking forward to a bright future from him no matter what. And Gibson answers with a birdie, and it feels like he's really got some great momentum going here in these first few holes.
Yeah, he took the lead in the first round, and I don't foresee him just giving that up very easily.
Well, someone like AB is going to have to charge, or anyone else on the card. Garrett's off to a little bit of a slow start, and Levi here is about to pick up a birdie if he can make this.
There you go. 2 pars, 2 birdies. I feel like that's been a trend.
Yeah, everybody doesn't want to do the same thing except for par hole 1. Right next to Dukes, by the way. A huge supporter of all the action out here at Vista del Camino. Make sure you stop in at Dukes. I'm not going to say their chicken cordon bleu sandwich is one of the best, but okay, I think I just said it is. Trust me, I like to eat. So hole 5, 340 feet. They really created more of a tunnel shot on this hole with the use of the mandos. There's a mando on the left and a mando on the right, and so this pretty much requires a straight shot.
Which is perfect for the shot, because you don't want to be left or right of the basket. You want to be, that's not good.
Yeah, you see the white flag, so to speak. Those look like discathon markers. I don't know if you've ever done yourself some discathoning.
No, I don't even know what
we'll get into that another day. It's a lot of fun. Believe it or not, you run around and you throw frisbees, and you have to traverse around all of these individual markers, and it looks like that's where those are pulled from. Anyway, park job.
Textbook right there, right down the middle.
I think that's a buzz by Gibson.
Yeah, it definitely didn't look very fast. And you don't want to throw a very fast disc on this hole.
Yeah, not for these guys. Throwing 340
No.
feet with their mids, very easy, and
I mean,
AB's rock.
I would say that. That definitely that was another mid for sure.
Good line by Garrett. Oh, how polite. He thanked the tree for not, reaching out and grabbing his disc. So this is Levi from the drop zone. After missing the Mando on that right side, that's where you go to the drop zone. And that will result in a bogey 4.
That's a tough bogey. Like you definitely want to birdie this. I mean, a par is okay, but this is another one of those holes. If you bogey, you're just basically giving a stroke to the field. Here's Garrett looking to say put himself on the scoreboard, but man, just missing a shorty.
Yeah, he was a little bit frustrated with himself. I know as he was getting over to the tee on the next hole, he asked kind of jokingly with the group, like, anybody got any short-range putting tips? And Drew said, just take your time. And Drew will heed his own advice here.
Yeah, even for these shorties, you definitely don't want to get yourself out of your routine. You want to walk up and do everything you need to do because, I don't know, I've seen plenty of these open players miss a lot of really short putts over the years.
Yeah, sometimes when you take something for granted or you get a little flustered and next thing you know, you're giving a stroke away. And Drew was looking back at some of the other park patrons. Obviously a really busy park in terms of bikers and skateboarders and rollerblading, and sometimes people rolling through have a different volume level than the rest of the course. But
honestly, you get
it's a public use park.
You get a really diverse group of people out here. Not saying you don't get that at any park, but I feel like this park especially.
Well, we're going to change things up and get to our first par 4, 783 feet, laden with OB on the left and the right sides. You need a couple of really big poles usually to get yourself to this protected green.
Yeah, this tee shot's not easy. Like you got all these trees in the way. I mean, it looks fairly open, but these first couple of trees, if you hit them, you're not putting yourself in a good position to birdie, or even in some cases, even take the par.
And Drew takes that hyzer. You don't see that taken too often. At least we didn't see it at any point during the first round. Maybe is a better way to word that.
I feel like you need a really big arm to take that hyzer because that first pine tree is pretty far out there. And AB with that sidearm, I mean, I don't know anybody that wishes they couldn't, or they could throw or that doesn't wish they could throw a sidearm that far. That's a crush.
Drew claims he doesn't think he can throw his backhands even that far. That's what he said, but I think he can. I think I have faith in you, Drew.
Might be a little brown there. He might be full of something.
And if you haven't already, we'll see a look at Levi's run up here. He actually doesn't do an X step, and I didn't get a chance to ask Levi. I'm guessing he's got maybe some ultimate background in him, but if you'll notice this drive and maybe on hole 7. Even on his most powerful shots, there's not a full-blown X step in there, and he's got a very, very powerful and efficient throw. But interesting to note that it is not what you'd necessarily see in a disc golf textbook.
Yeah, we'll see his distance on some of these holes, but he can really crush them.
It looks like it's got a little too much angle. Oh,
yeah, she. I don't even know how to describe it. She was blindly just walking across the
fairways.
Fairway. She
came from over by the apartments and then just kind of jetted out and decided, hey, I'm just going to walk through the fairway. Now, to be fair, you don't know disc golf. You don't know you're walking through a fairway. I understand that, but it seemed like she was under a little duress and maybe a little frustrated.
Yeah, she definitely was not paying attention to the world.
She had some of her own demons that she was dealing with as she seemed frustrated, not at the golfers, but with some other situation as she was crossing the middle of the fairway.
Yeah, Drew's out there right outside circle 2. I bet you he wishes he could have gotten a little more on that. This is really I feel like this is, after watching a lot of these guys play this weekend, like the sidearm to put yourself into the green for the birdie is the way to play if you have it.
Yeah, and to be fair, AB makes it almost look too easy as he's put himself up there for the birdie look. 783 feet. I would need at least 3, maybe 4 sidearms to get that total distance.
I played this hole once, I played this course once when I played the Memorial back in 2013. I think I needed like 4 or 5 shots to get up. I might have thrown 1 or 2 OB on my way up. Vista did not treat me well.
Drew's got up, and as I was watching him line that up, I thought, Drew, don't do it. Like, don't try to stab that putt. And he actually went through a little hole up in the trees that I did not see from where I was, so you could still give it a run, although a little bit risky. And I think, just a little bit frustrated. You're 35, 40 feet at most, and he's still obstructed.
And you have AB and other players of the like, on your heels. Like, you don't want to be giving up strokes like that.
So through the first 6, we see Drew sitting at that 12 under. So he's picked up 3 of them, and still sits with a lead, even though Barela picked up a birdie. He's got the 1-stroke advantage. As we take the walk over to hole number 7, what's usually known as one of the easier holes on the course. Again, it's a par 4 with the sidewalk on that right side out of bounds. They've added a Mando up near the basket, so you do have to come in from the right side to finally get to the pin. But a couple of pretty straight drives should get you in putting position here.
Yeah, if you have distance like AB and Drew and Levi and these guys, I feel like it's one big drive like that, and you're looking at 150, 200 feet right to the basket, and that's nothing for these guys.
That looks to be a little bit right, and
yeah, he was pretty close there to going OB.
Flirting with the sidewalk, but when it finally comes to rest, it's really in perfect position.
Yeah, that's just such an interesting run-up, but...
Yeah, it's not quite the distance that James Conrad needs in terms of how much he backs up from the tee, and it's very unique, and as I said, incredibly effective. He makes it work, that's for sure. And that, again, perfectly fine. I mean, you can't really just put yourself out of position by being far left. That's pretty much the only major mistake you can make here.
No, and as long as you can throw 300 or 300 feet, this is textbook throw. It's a couple of hyzers down the fairway, and he's right underneath the basket. Hopefully he doesn't hit his head when he's picking up his disc.
And Drew is close enough that he's just got a little standstill.
Anytime you can see that sidewalk there on your right, you're sitting pretty. Another one. That's almost we always play the beer disc. If you land on somebody else's disc, you owe them a beer. I don't quite think that was a beer, but it was close.
I mean, I'd take one anyway, if offered.
It's pretty late. I don't know. I don't know what the rules are here in Arizona, and I think during times of COVID, I don't think finding a beer this late is going to be possible.
Well, AB putting himself up there, and just like that, we've got 4 pretty proficient approaches, and we should see maybe a star frame out of this, the good kind.
Yeah, they made this look easy, and if any of these guys are missing these putts, I mean, I hate to say it, but you might as well just walk off the course.
Well, underneath it, we're going to see a tap in. I didn't realize just how close Drew and Levi matched today. That's cute.
Being the catch cam, I mean, I have to say, not that I needed to know who was what, but you definitely noticed.
Good point. All right. Hole number 8, I saw all the comments, so I didn't read them all yet, but a ton of the comments as to what you guys would throw here on hole 8. I appreciate that. Again, I'm going to randomly select a winner, and I'll have to come up with something new. Make sure you leave a comment. Let's put it that way. Leave a comment somewhere in this video along with a like, and hopefully you're subscribed as well. I'm going to have a big giveaway at 50,000 subscribers, and that could come any day now. Here's AB, probably the same rock that I think we saw him back on hole 5.
He wants to throw to slow down, but that was pretty close to perfect right there.
Yeah, just incredible finesse, great control and touch. And Drew doesn't like it. And I hate it also when I park.
I hate this place, bro.
I think Drew was distracted. There was maybe a dog walker or a child. Maybe he hates children. I'm not sure. But I think there was a dog walker that had maybe distracted him right before he threw.
Drew, I also hate the sun and beautiful weather, too. We should all just go home. He's more than welcome to come up to Wisconsin and play in the snow. I don't know. He's a California boy. I don't know if he would understand.
I don't think our golf plays the same.
Definitely not.
Hole 8 is right in the middle of the course. Average is 2.93 on the field here.
Which is not surprising because, this isn't necessarily a give me birdie. You just want to, for a lot of players, they might just want to play it safe, make sure that they're that they're dry and on that side of the
fairway over there. Yeah, that's, maybe not totally aggressive, and Garrett just can't seem to find the putting stroke. Now, maybe he putted like that in the first round, and he instead was just 3 feet away on every pin, but it seems like maybe he's lost a little of the mojo he must have had during first round for him to shoot that 8 under that he did.
Yeah, I mean, some players have, first round jitters. Some players have
Superpowers.
The opposite, yeah. How many times do we see, players come out with really hot rounds and, maybe not be able to match it come the second round.
Well, AB is going to now tie up Drew Gibson, although Gibson's looking at a birdie putt, but AB ties it up 13 under and is off to a great start. Trying to hunt down Drew. Remember, he started 2 strokes behind Drew coming into the round, and now Drew is hoping to have an answer for him.
Yeah, he's not giving up the lead that easy. That's for sure.
And a little tap-in action for Levi and Garrett. Drew and Anthony are making things work out here. We're going to move over to our final hole of the front 9. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us for all this Shelly Sharpe Memorial action, the first PDGA A-Tier of the year. I got to thank Pete Ulibarri for these beautiful drone previews and flyovers. We appreciate it, Pete. Also, of course, our presenting sponsor and Spinners on the Green. And big shout out to First Light, who treats me so well every time I come into the area. And my boy Chris Cobb, who's also always in the area and super helpful. Here's AB trying to flex hard.
This is just like an incredible shot. Like, that was what had to have been 430 all over the water. Crashed down. I think he's right outside, probably right outside the circle, maybe a little bit farther.
I was a little nervous as I was watching that flex the way it did. AB, of course, trusting it to come back, and it does. And Drew heading straight for the tree.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily a bad shot because, you're safe, you're dry, you're setting yourself up for the par. You could probably win a little bit higher, turn it over a little bit more maybe, but he'll be okay.
And I love the big flex turnover. This is a good way to attack the pin. The problem is,
That turned over a little too much.
yeah, either it turned over too much or maybe, wrong disc or who knows what it is, but it did not come back. And so he is actually over the sidewalk and out of bounds. We'll see how much that flexes back. And it looks like it kind of just filters through the tree, fights back a little, but from there, you're looking at just an up and down, walk away with a par. This hole, as always, comes in as the single most difficult hole on the course, averaging 3.61 today. And that's in these perfect, dead calm conditions, still averaging more than a half a stroke over par. So the single most difficult hole on the course here today.
Yeah, and that's not surprising. Like, it's 482. It's not quite, long enough to be a par 4. And it's really one of those bonus. It's a bonus birdie if you can nail it. But most of our players are going to be playing for par, and maybe the fact that it's 3.61, maybe a lot of players got a little too greedy.
Well, AB trying to become one of the good statistics here on hole 9.
Yeah, he was almost right there.
And with that, I'll give the shout out Cade F is all I'm going with that one. Cade F had the one and only birdie out of 40 plus professional MPO players today. So congrats, Cade. Everyone else was par or more, sometimes even much worse. So congrats to Cade for the lone birdie. So again, leave a comment of any kind that you want. Why don't you tell us, have you played in Wisconsin? Gary and I both came down here from Wisconsin. I'd like to know if you've played in Wisconsin or if you've seen any of the Wisconsin courses or action on film. Silver Cup comes to mind, Rolling Ridge. But let me know in the comments, and G to the O. I think we're going to see you on the back 9 if you join me.
All right, sounds good.
You don't have a choice. You got to be there.
Oh, shucks. I'm sorry.
All right, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks to all my Patreon supporters. We'll see you for the back 9 at the Shelly Sharpe Memorial.